You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Wait,
I was hurt at work today.
You were? What?
I was hurt at work today.
You did?
I was hurt at work today.
Are you okay?
I don't know. I thought I was going to
everybody.
I thought I was going to have to put a fire out. I thought I was going to have to
sue me.
Oh, sue you? Sue who?
Maybe I could sue for punitive damages that you're giving me.
That you're
Sue
giving me.
everybody.
Me? What I do? I don't know.
Oh my
What?
God!
All right, enough with the shenanigans. We're back. See how the shenanigans starts at the kitchen table? We
Right out
are
of the box.
back out of the box with the Gettin Salty Experience podcast, the only one that brings the Firehouse kitchen table to you with all the blah, 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 that you can handle. There you go. Another good soul. Oh, pizza! Look at him; he's all over the place.
I'm all over it. I'm sorry.
He
It's
must
the
have had a
same-
Red Bull or something.
You know why? Because it's the same guy. Look.
Come on, man.
Maybe,
Oh,
you notice?
He did a couple of lines like in the 80s. I don't know,
Awesome.
he's going back there.
Yeah, bro. How's it going? Did you get any snow up there, Roof?
Oh, we got 2 inches.
Oh,
We got nothing.
yeah,
I like
we got a little bit. We got a little bit. We
Yeah,
got like a
dusting.
dusting. Yeah, dusting over here. Not too bad.
Little dusting. Yeah. So before we get to the show, I gave you a little story what happened to me today. I didn't tell you about this. I'll tell you today.
Uh-oh.
So a lot of you guys know I have an ATM route, so I got go around, fill my ATMs. I got a lot of cash on my back. I go into one spot, the deli. It's not in the, let's say, not the best of neighborhoods. Maybe we'll say the ghetto. All right, so I walk in, and it must be by a high school because all the kids must be at a break or something. They're all over the place, with the pants down, hanging around their, the butt cheeks hanging out.
Oh boy.
And I get the first one. Hey, give me $1. And I'm like,
Yeah. I remember that.
I'm opening the machine, and my standard thing is I give them 3. All right, I let them say 3 things, and then I'll say something. So then the guy goes, "Oh, you got change of 100?" They're all laughing, Well, give me that sack, So I get up and I go, "Well, everybody's a fucking comedian today, huh? Everybody's funny. Why don't you earn $1?"
Oh.
So a
you
kid
angry?
Kid.
yeah, no, I got my anger. So a kid comes up, he goes, I'll earn $1. I want to be a comedian. I go, "Oh, you do?" I said, "You're the comedian." He goes, "If I make you laugh, you got to give me $1." I go, "All right, you're on." So I go, "You're on." He goes, "Oh." I said, "No, really, you're on. Go ahead." He goes, "Okay." He says, "Why do lesbians like to go to models?" I'm like, "I don't know. Why do lesbians like to go?" He goes, "Because they hate dicks."
You give him a 5? Give him a 5.
I gave him 10.
Nice.
I gave him $1. I gave him 10, dude. And he didn't know until he must have took it. And as I walked out, he goes, "Whoa, that's a 10." He went to give it back to me. So he was a good kid. I go, "No,
Nice.
you keep it, dude. You made me laugh out loud, bro. So you earned that." See,
I never heard that one.
He earned that one. You guys are doing nothing. He earned it. He made me laugh.
I never heard that
Nice.
I didn't hear it either. Dude, I'm expecting this kid to bomb out, and I laughed out loud when he said it. Bro. I was like, nah, I got to give this kid at least.
one. Better than like
10
97% of the guys in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, shots
Come on,
fired.
Fired.
Shots fired.
Bam. Wow.
Oh my God.
All right, listen,
All right.
we got a really good guest. We're going across the country today to the middle of the country.
But we have to
Jack
do things
Ross.
first.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting into him. I'm priming him up, bro. I'm just letting him know.
Put him up. Okay. My bad.
You want to get paid, or you want to do be all sorts of pledge allegiance? What do you want to do?
I think we get paid. Then we do the pledge, and then we bring in our esteemed guest.
All right, so you want to get paid before we get patriotic? Okay.
That's right. I do. I got because that way we could flow right from America to America's firefighter from the Chicago FD.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Do
And how we get paid here, guys, you know the deal. GettinSaltyApparel.com. That is where you will find. Never heard of them. That is where you will find beautiful drinking apparatus like this, or the hat that Louie's wearing, or hoodies. It's hoodie season. Come on, t-shirts for the gym, wherever, however, whatever. You guys know the deal. GettinSaltyApparel.com, the finest firefighter apparel and accessories in the game. But also, you guys are our number one sponsor on the show. That's right, with the Super Chat. You guys are always helping us out. So if you feel it, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you absolutely positively have to have a question answered, like, hey, ask him if he knows Timmy Two Times from Ladder 445 or whatever. Hit us up in the Super Chat. We will ask your question. Absolutely. Will.
If you want to ask the dumbest question in the world, we will answer it.
We will answer it.
If you give us money, sure.
Only if you give us money, and it could be whatever you guys want. We always appreciate the Super Chats, guys. That's really, really, honestly, truly super helpful. Thank you very much in advance. And you guys are our number one syndicators and sponsors. So thank you there. And always, guys, as always, remember to like, subscribe, and share in advance, guys. And that goes for the audio podcast as well on iTunes Podcast or Spotify. And that's
Artie hooked you right up there, Petey.
Artie Werkel went right for it, bro.
Wow, did he really? I didn't even look yet. Wow, Artie Werkel, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody in the chat, whether or not you.
We know that cheap bastard 21 truck Tillman ain't coming across with no money. I know that, bro.
Is he coming out Saturday night?
Yeah, he's going to order a water and a slice of lettuce. That's what he's going to
already.
I'll have the bread. The bread's
all right, moving on.
If he finds out you're paying, then he's going to.
All right.
Steak.
All right, Pete. Let's get patriotic and we'll get our destiny here, bro.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Stand by, guys. Here we go. And everyone, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Powerful words, baby. Powerful words.
That gets me in the feels, man.
Dude, listen to the words. They're very powerful.
Yep.
You know who else is powerful? Our guest that we got on tonight, bro.
Ooh.
I don't know what you might call. We have a whole bunch of different
As long
names.
as he ain't a jagoff.
I don't think he's a jagoff. He knows a couple of jagoffs.
He knows some jagoffs.
Maybe some jagoffs that came on the show prior.
Yep, he's from Chicago with a bunch of jagoffs. But you know, you can call him Steve, or you can call him Chief Chick, or you can call him Chief Chikerotis.
You call him Chief Steve?
You call him.
Oh,
Steve. Let's welcome him in, Chief Steve Chikerotis.
Hey, there he is.
He's in the wrong square. This is Hollywood Squares.
Hey, that always happens. It always happens when we bring in a new one.
Johnny
Chief, how are you?
Chief, how are you?
Very good. Happy to be here, Kev.
Awesome.
Sound the same.
We love.
I love that accent.
Don't they talk funny? Yeah, look, Chief, get it out of the way. Call him a jackoff.
Well, you guys are jagoffs. I'm keeping waiting for so long. And Lou, I don't have an accent. You guys do.
That's it. I know.
Go home and get your fucking shine.
Nice.
Well, we looked at his timeline. We were going over the timeline, and I can say the guy went to a couple of good places, couple of good jobs. Would you say, Ruffy? He's been on for a while.
Yeah, he might have seen a fire or two.
How he got to a couple of these places is a little
we know
suspect.
how that
We'll have to
works.
talk about that. We'll have to. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back even before he got on the job. Give us a little history of where you're from, what made you want to be a fireman, any family on the fire department.
You know, I'm born and bred Chicago guy. I know you guys have fire department. Pete, I'm not sure about you. I know Kevin and Lou have fire department influence. You guys grew up smelling smoke and hearing the stories. I knew nothing about the fire department. So born and bred Chicago guy. I was a boxer. I was thinking of making a living with boxing, and as a kid, I was trying different things. I fought professional for a little while. I was going to college, putting myself through college, and it hit me that I didn't want to get my head punched my whole life, and I knew I wanted an action job, and I still didn't know about the fire department. So I took the police test in Chicago. And I was waiting for the results, waiting to get called. And you want me to go right into a story that motivated me to be a fireman?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was doing everything. In fact, Lou, I think you had roofing businesses too, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, because that's what I did for also, and I was paying my way through school with a roofing business. And the biggest job that I ever sold was a steel plating place in the town of Bedford Park, which is real close to where I'm at now, close to home. neighboring suburb of Chicago. And beautiful July day. It was a nice day. Sun shining. I had a crew of about 11, 12 guys. And right in the middle of the day, there's this tremendous explosion that almost knocks us off our feet. Smoke starts coming out of the stacks. Well, I got a hot tar kettle on the ground. It's the first thing I'm thinking. My heart's beating out of my chest. I run to the edge of the roof and had nothing to do with us. And my ground guy's looking up at me with his arms out. And the door flies open while I'm, looking at him. And I don't know, 30, 40, 50 people running out of this factory workers, office workers, and they're sprinting. They had just been blown up. At least one person died from this explosion, maybe more from injuries later. I never found out. But we're standing there like spectators. We're watching them run, and the smoke's coming out of the stacks behind us. And this young office girl, probably about my age at the time, I'm probably 20, 21, she stops and she kicking off her high heels so she can run faster. And she looks up at me, makes eye contact, get off of there, run. So I tell my guys, I think we got to go. So we do. We slide the ladder and probably ran maybe a half a block away. The people that just got blown up, they probably ran a half a mile away, and they knew the potential of this place. And there was multiple explosions while we were standing there. So we're half a block away, and I'm hearing the sirens. And next thing, seeing the lights. And here comes the Bedford Park Fire Department. And I had never witnessed this. I had never seen anything. I knew nothing. There's no I haven't seen fires in my neighborhood. On the news once in a while, you'd see firemen with ice on the mustache. And I think, okay, that could be a tough job, but I knew nothing about it. And now I'm watching these guys, take up, gear up, and dropping lines and disappearing into smoke. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. These guys are running into something I just ran away from. I want that guy. I swear to God, I decided.
You pulled a Petey.
Yeah.
So again, knowing nothing, here I live in Chicago with one of the greatest fire departments in the world. And that night I went to Bedford Park. They have 3 fire stations. I went to a Bedford Park fire station because that's what I just watched work. And I wanted to talk to the guys, and I'm talking to them, and they welcomed me in. The main thing I remember, because it was a million years ago, it was right after horses pulled rigs, for Christ's sake, But they welcomed me in. They were so damn nice and just humble and kind people. And they sit me down at the kitchen table, give me coffee, offer me food. And I asked them questions about the job, about the fire. They asked me questions about my life. And I asked them, do you have a test? How do I get an application? They said, you would want to take the Chicago test, and you live in Chicago, and there's one coming up, which I didn't know about. And these guys lit a fire, and 30,000 people take our test when we offer one. And I landed 31 because of this great inspirational group of brothers that I owe everything in my career to.
That's incredible. And that happens, Chief, that we hear that over and over and over again, because we ask the same question to start off, how people get on the job, and sometimes it's just
my neighbor gave me an application.
Yeah, it's like a weird luck.
Guy,
the fact that
I made it. Yeah, we both took it. I made it. My buddy didn't get on. It's just
like you say, you look back. I mean, just looking at your career that we know already before, the people don't know yet, but looking back at your career, like, holy shit, that all happened from a fire that happened while you were roofing on another building. You know what I mean? Like,
I always say this. I could have went to the dark side, man. I could have been a cop.
Yeah.
While I was in the fire academy, I got called by the police department, and of course, I already found my passion. So
there's one civil service exam that goes out to everybody. Is that how that worked? And that's why
I had taken the police test previously, and I was waiting for that. And after the motivation from these guys, I went and took the fire test.
Great.
And it just so happened, I got called while I was already on the job.
You were like, no, thank you. I found my calling right there.
Yeah, not a chance.
And I just want to thank you for saying that Chicago was one of the greatest fire departments in the world and not the greatest. Then, even though you're a boxer, we might have had to go a little bit,
I got a lot of New York brothers that are friends. I got some that, we lost on that day, and nothing but respect. And
Yeah, they do some good work there. So this was what, like 1979? When did you take the test?
Yeah, probably 76, 77. I don't know. Things move slow in Chicago. It's just the way it always is. They give a test about every time Haley's Comet flies by,
Right.
Yeah, sure.
So you walked in there with your bell bottoms and the Huckapoo shirt, right, Rook?
Yeah, it looked like a Wonder Bread, the old Wonder Bread thing, right? Had all the little dots on it, all the colors. Chicka wow wow.
Chicka bow wow. So you got out at 79. You entered the Chicago Fire Department, and it's a 4-month academy, huh?
At that time, it was in that range. I'm not. I heard Johnny Salka, who's a buddy of mine, his talk recently and the other day. And like Johnny, I'm not a big timeline guy where I know months and years of certain things. The timeline is pretty close, but yeah, around 4 months.
Was
something about Johnny Salka? Just
yeah, absolutely.
Before we get into
never heard of him. Yeah, the crew cut guy. He, one of the greatest guys that I've met in my life, and he and his partner Rick Lasky are really good friends of mine, and we teach around the country together. And Johnny, just a couple stories that were coming up while his show was on. I didn't want to interrupt or anything, but Johnny and I were teaching in Alaska. 3 of us. Wow. We had Alan Brunacini and John and myself, and we're doing alternate days. And on the days that the 2 of us would be off, we'd go out and play someplace. So John and I are hiking in the middle of the woods in Kenai, Alaska, wherever the hell that is, and we're hunting grizzly bear with cameras. And while we're walking through berry fields and every place that grizzly bear lives,
smelling like berries,
the two city boys, the smart city boys, we end up down at the river, and there's fishermen on the other side, and they can't see, but we can see. Coming around the corner is 2 of the biggest grizzly bears you've ever seen in your life. And we're trying to signal these guys. I'm thinking we're going to witness the worst thing in the life, and they teach us. John and I are filming, and they teach us, and we're waving at these guys, and we get their attention. And I'm saying grizzly bear, and John's yelling, and they kind of waved us off, and they teach you never to run from a bear. Well, 2 of these guys that were waving us off like nothing, they sprinted away like crazy. They were lucky to.
I'm wondering if up in Alaska though, did they have something there called the word of the day?
They do.
Oh, because we forgot us.
Yeah.
Easy with the wee stuff. What's the wee stuff? All of a sudden, you're broad stroke and everything over there. You got a mouse in your pocket.
Because we have a word of the day.
Oh, Pete, what's the word of the day, buddy?
Oh, the word of the day is chick.
Oh,
there we go. There we go. Now I feel complete.
I seen him talking about it in the chat. I was wondering when you're going to throw that out there.
I see it.
So I just didn't want to interrupt the chief.
So they went hunting for bear with a camera. I hope you.
So John, so we found them. We got chewed out by the locals about how stupid we were, and I always figured I didn't have to outrun the bear, just outrun Johnny. But
that's it. Just have to be fast enough and a little bit faster than
the other guys. Yeah, or push it to the ground.
5 years ago, we made John into a movie star. I had him on my television show. We did a New York episode, and we had our Chief Bowden and our Severide and Casey characters, the 2 officers, go to New York because it was their buddy John Salka's last day. So we had a neat little cameo from my buddy John, and it turned out great. And
nice.
I know you had talked to John about being at FDIC this year, and he said he was going to hook up with you guys, and I'll be there teaching. And this year, it's great because John, he didn't tell you, but I'm going to tell you, he's getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is a huge deal for a great, worthy man. So we're all really happy and proud for him.
Very cool.
So he's a modest guy too. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have to take both of them out to dinner now, Ruffy.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
Whoa. Take it easy with the dinner.
He's cramping up. My God.
Chief, when you were in the academy, do you remember, was it the winter? Was it cold as snot there or what? Or were you in the summer?
Yeah, it was winter, but Kevin, you're so excited for a job like that. I could give a crap. I would have gone through the training in a swimsuit. I was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Great.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so your first stop is Engine 93. So you're there from 79 to 81. I don't know much about, is that a busy place, 93?
Yeah, I was kind of blessed. 93 is a real busy company out in Roseland. It's a shoot 'em, stab 'em, fire district. And it was Engine 93. And at the time we called them flying squads. So Flying Squad 2, which is equivalent to it's a heavy rescue squad. And they call them flying squads for a whole thing about balancing out manpower. But that was in the house with us, and I kind of got the bug that they did an awful lot. They covered a bigger district, had special equipment, and they had a captain that became one of my first mentors, this guy, Gene Callahan, long since retired, but just a gentleman that I'd like to give a shout out. If anything, he taught me that every day that you're at work, if you study a little every day, just pick something up and read it, then you're not like everybody else when a promotional exam comes out where you start cramming. And this head needs a little advantage, you have to work. But Gene was one of the best, and 93 was a great place to be.
Pete, do you have a picture of a job in 93, I think? Photo 1?
Well, the very first day, yeah, we got that right here. Great shot. Look at this.
Yeah. That's my buddies across the alley. One of my first days on the job, and that's young Steve Chikerotis. And
look at that guy, man!
What a shot!
My very first day on the job, I was about 2 hours in, and of course, you're chomping for a fire and just can't wait. And I'm about 2 hours in, and we get the call. We're going in. We're riding the back step at that time, and I got an old timer next to me, and you're looking over the hose bed off in the distance, and you see the header rising up to the sky. And I couldn't have been more excited. It's just the greatest. And we get up, and it's a 2.5-story frame rolling, started in the basement, rolling all the way through the attic. I'm assigned on one of the lines down into the basement with the senior firefighter. And he's got me right in his ass. He's on a nozzle, and we're crawling in, and it was hotter than I ever imagined. Zero visibility, and I was just loving it. This is what you're dreaming, what you dreamt of. You're hearing the stories in the academy, and again, I didn't know about the job like you guys. You had a little advance hearing some of the stories, so it was better than I expected, and then. Like halfway through the basement, I crawl onto something, and there was this little hero, and there was a little 5-year-old boy that was shielding. He was one of the biggest heroes I've ever seen in my life. He's shielding with his body over his baby sister, covering a 3-year-old, and they both were burned badly and dead by the time we found them.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And left home alone. Mom was drunk. She showed up while we were overhauling long after the kids were removed. And that's what I remember that first day. And I remember being emotionally torn over this, and you can't show it. You're the new guy. I didn't see anybody else really feeling it. So you kind of hold it in, and that was it. And you just do your job. And we had a busy first day, and nobody really talked about it. We didn't back then, we didn't, there was nothing known about post-traumatic stress or having debriefings to prevent that. So nobody talks about it. Later that day, we had another kid that died. He was, took second place in a gunfight. That one didn't bother me as much. He was a gangbanger, but I'm driving home in the morning. I'm a young guy going home. And I'm thinking, is this job going to change?
I was just going to say, man, that's a pretty big first day.
Yeah, is it going to change you? And the answer, I just kind of decided then, and I think we have that power. I decided, yes, of course it's going to change you, but how's it going to change you? And I decided at that time it was going to make me better. It's going to make me a better firefighter. I was going to study harder. I was going to train and drill to try and prevent things like that from happening. And I think it makes you a better person, right? I think firefighters are among the best people I've ever met in my life because your heart gets bigger because of the pain and stuff that you deal with. And you have to kind of take that outlook that, yeah, it's going to change you, but it doesn't have to change you for the worse.
Huh. This guy's dropping old school tips of the day left and right out of his pocket. You see that? They're falling out of his pocket.
Oh, my foot. I just
I
was hit with something.
Tripped over an old school tip of the day. Look at that.
I like the smirk it gives you.
I didn't know it was 940.
Hey, Pete, go back to another picture, the first picture. That's like a tough son of a bitch right there. Look at that guy.
Yeah. That guy will crack you one. You know what I mean?
I'm talking about the kid. I'm talking about the kid with the hat on.
That's right after they beat me up. Yeah.
Which guy had the nozzle that day over here? No, you look like a boxer there, Chief. You look like a tough son of a bitch.
You just mean I'm ugly. I had to face punch.
Driving home, you're like, I don't know, punches to the face or I don't know.
Burning basement.
Probably made a good decision instead of being like a palooka with your ears boxed off.
Yeah, like a cauliflower ear.
Good
guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you started telling us about Squad 2. So the Flying Squad, they were in the quarters with 93.
But Flying Squad 2 was, and then I'm less than 2 years into the job, and I had this great captain who used to pull me in, and he would train me. The officer was a great guy on the engine, but he wasn't a training guy. Johnny, he was a nice guy. Johnny Salka kind of talked about that yesterday or 2 days ago. The people that we really remember are the tougher bosses, and they taught you things. And every day was a training day with this Gene Callahan. So I learned a lot about the heavy rescue. I started taking classes and kind of set a goal. Not kind of. I set a goal that eventually that's what I'm going to get on is the rescue squad. And then a couple years in, they took the flying manpower squads out of service, and then they were putting in heavy rescues. We just call them squads. So they had 4 squads that cover the whole city, and maybe at that time 5. Over the years, the number has changed, but because of the low number of squads, and you guys know they cover a bigger district and do everything from scuba diving, firefighting, extrication, confined space, hazardous materials, and I was digging that. I was taking the classes and working towards it, and then they formed these new squads, and by luck, a captain that was assigned to one of the new squads, Squad 2 on the west side, which is one of the busiest fire, again, shooting, stabbing gang areas in the city. Bill Burns, just a mountain of a man, kind of a John Wayne lookalike, but he was one of my instructors in the academy. And he had a couple of us that were in his academy class a few years prior that he took a liking to, and he called me, and that was like maybe the greatest, that was the greatest phone call I've ever had in my life, and he asked me to come to the west side and be on the new formed Squad 2.
So you only had 2 years, right?
Coobs, I was going to say, so does the term luck have anything does luck equal that? I don't know. I'm just playing, Chief.
Steve, it's Big Bill. Big Bill.
Big Bill.
Yeah, come on over. Yes, yeah, bring your knee pads. Yes, okay.
Oh, God.
That must have been the best, right? Not only in the squad, but the busiest squad.
It was the best. Pete, you got a picture of the squad guys?
Yep. Right here.
There. That's Big Bill to my left, to your right. I'm in the center, dead center of the picture.
He's a big dude, huh? Holy shit.
Joe Guidi, bigger than he looks there. I'm probably on my tiptoes because I always felt like I was standing in a hole next to Bill. And he was 280 pounds of muscle. To the right of the far right of the picture is a guy, Joe Guidi, Phil Stelnicki right next to me. Joe Santiago to the far left of the picture, who ended up being our fire commissioner. I had such great guys, Johnny Pawinski, Kenny Witecki, Bobby McKee, the greatest, not only the greatest firefighters that I ever worked with, but the greatest men that I ever worked with, all on one company. So when overused term in the fire service, living the dream.
Yeah.
What can you say when you're working with people like this?
Well,
that guy definitely looks like he's living a dream there. Look at that guy; he's pumped.
Did you? Where did they put you guys? You have a new firehouse? Did you guys go in with somebody else?
We had a brand new firehouse with engine 117. It's we were arguably, I don't know, over the years that we were there, we were either the busiest or in the top 3 in the city. Company wise. And we started with 2 engines and a chief and an ambulance and a squad in the same house. And it was like constant running and just, you wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to ask you, Chief, before that, when you were in Engine 93, you said you were working in the flying squad and you were training with them and drilling with them. Did any of the guys in the engine try to dissuade you from, you're too young to go there, or stay over here, pay attention over here, don't worry about what the squad.
I was kind of lucky. I had really good guys, great guys, but they were a lot of them were older guys, and that was not their wish to get on the squad. They would ball bust. It's always I'd rather have a sister in a whorehouse than a brother in the squad. But I wanted to be on that squad.
Yeah. That's great, man. That you talk about living the dream, really. And that time in a newly formed squad, and one of the busiest squads, and with 2 years on the job, you were living the dream, man. Yep.
Yeah. I was completely lucky with getting that, and luckier to work with the quality of the people.
Well, I mean, you could say luck, but if these guys didn't see something in you that would have been squad material, you wouldn't have never got that phone call. So
he was into the job, not just on the job.
Oh, look at Pete. There you go.
I like that.
Look at that. You know what it is? He doesn't have the yellow cap on. The yellow cap kind of dumbs him down a little bit.
You know why? Because
the yellow one on tonight.
Because it was a Carhartt cap. I threw that one out.
Oh, here we go. All right, let's get on to. He burnt it. All right, so while we're in the squad, P, let's pull up. You pulled up 2 and 3. There's 2 photos there from.
Here's 3. This is a good one.
That's my partner Joe Santiago. Jose Santiago ended up being our fire commissioner. And a job that I never set a goal for. I'm a kind of a goal-oriented guy, and my goal was always, I would never tell people at that time, but because of mentors and great people I seen in that position, I wanted to, I call it the number 2 job. It's probably really number 3, but it's our chief of operations. And the chief of operations, I mean, we had a guy named Pat Keogh, who was just a mentor, somebody I always looked up to, and I thought that's my dream job. That's what I want. And I was offered that job probably about maybe when I had 6-7 years left on the job. I was offered 215, it's called, and had to turn it down because of other commitments I had with the film industry, and I was loving too much being a deputy district chief at the time, running 30 firehouses, and didn't want to put myself full-time behind the desks. But setting goals sometimes gets you where you want.
Yep. Let's talk about we talked about this on the show in the past. I think it was Timothy who brought it up, the Fat Albert arsonist story.
Yeah, so you had my buddy Mike Timothy on, and one thing he talked about was an arsonist, Fat Albert. And sometimes, we can joke over arsonists are good for business, and that this guy wasn't good anyway. He was a murderer, and arsonists are really like the scariest people on earth. They're mass murderers that crawl around in the dark and kill bunches of people at once, and families and kids, and they don't, and they have various reasons. Usually, this guy in particular, just enjoyment. But we had a rash of fires with Fat Albert. In one of our parts of our big district that we covered was a Humboldt Park area at that time. And still right now, predominantly a Puerto Rican neighborhood, great people, big families, big, huge buildings. And he would light fires, and he was a very educated, scary arsonist that would light them at the base of stairways and get both stairways. So he would trap occupants, and we were filling body bags. We're going day after day to fires, and you would know by the MO, but they couldn't get this guy. He was very sharp. He always had a cover. He would set his fires with timing devices, and he would be in a restaurant, have receipts from a restaurant, or he would hang at a firehouse and be with the guys, sometimes ride to the fire with that fire company.
Shit. Oh, I forgot. He was a buff, right? They were saying.
Yeah, not really. He masqueraded as a buff, but he was just an evil person. So
he was doing intel. You know what I mean? Like he was getting his intel on the run.
Pull up photo 4.
I got it. Yep. I got it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the many jobs that this guy, Nicky Fabrizio, and I are working a couple of victims that we dragged out of a fire, but one of his pieces of work, and most of the victims didn't make it because he was so good at his craft, if you will. So they couldn't get him in jail. They finally, after a long period of time, they finally got him for some short sentence. It was kind of sickening, and never really nailed him for the big things that he did, but we all knew that he did. And
just because they couldn't prove it was him?
Yeah, it was much harder then than with the science wasn't
forensics.
As good back then.
Yeah.
We didn't have like now there's cameras. You can't go any place in Manhattan or
anywhere
walking around Chicago without being followed with cameras. But back then there wasn't. So a guy like that lived in that. And one day, in middle of a day, I remember it was sunshine. I don't remember if it was cold or warm, but I think it was warmer. And we're putting kids in body bags inside this building. And I'm telling my guys, I'm a firefighter on the squad. I'm telling my fellow firefighters if I see Albert out there, because he would always be in the first or second row of looky-loos, and he would be just a big smile on his face, watching firefighters work, watching bodies getting carried out. Jesus. So I said, I'm not going to control myself if I see Albert out there. So I come out, and sure enough, Albert's out there. I think he was in the second row of this group, and he was a stocky guy, probably weighed about 240, 50, not real tall, but stocky. And so I grab him, and I wanted to deck him right there, but there's a million witnesses. So, in my genius mind, I'm going to drag him to the gangway in between the buildings, and I'm going to pummel this guy. So I said, "Come here, Albert, I got to talk to you." And I grab him by the collar, and I'm trying to pull him, and he ain't budging. So I got him by the collar, and I'm kneeing him in the back of his knees, making him walk, and he's walking. And the whole way he's saying, "I didn't have nothing to do with this fire. I said, I just want to talk to you." So I keep him going, and I get him right where I want him. And I'm about spinning him around, and I'm going to label him. And he lets out words that made my knees Susie Q. He said, "I'm telling you, Chikerotis, I didn't have anything to do with it." At the time, there's phone books. Your address is in the phone book, and there's one Chikerotis in the phone book, me. And I have two babies at the time. I ended up raising 4 boys, but I had 2 babies at home, and we do 24-hour tours. So anytime I go to work, I'm gone all night. That's when this guy thrives. And my knees Susie Q'd, and I stopped. I pulled back. I pat him on the shoulder and sucked up to him. I don't know what I said, but something to the fact like, Albert, if you're doing this, you got to stop. We're killing kids. I just wanted to talk to you. And my heart's beating out of my chest. I'm thinking, how am I going to protect my family? It's not like the movies that, okay, we'll put a squad car on your house.
Yeah. That ain't happening.
That crap doesn't happen. So I'm terrified. I made nice with them. And then, but I had already, embarrassed them, bullied them to the gangway and everything. So I went home. I probably put 20 smoke detectors in my house. I had smoke detectors in closets.
Because you're just trying to think of how you could, how you could protect. How long was he around for, Chief?
Not too long after that, maybe another couple years, and then he kind of.
Wow, he was around that long?
He was. Then he did a little jail time, and then he disappeared. And then later in my career, I seen him again when I was a battalion chief out in the 22nd Battalion at a church fire, and I tried to get him pinched. I don't know what really happened, but yeah, they can be scary creatures.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought you were going to say a month.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So basically, everybody knew Fat Albert was. All the firemen knew that he was torching these places, right?
Yeah, he had a couple of houses that guys that he hung with, and he had them bullshitted that it was bum shake that he was getting. But
Right.
we knew. Yeah, we knew. I mean, it was just common sense. He was always there and enjoyed it too much. He was very sharp.
Right.
There's other reasons. Some of them that ended up getting him to jail. That
Right.
Yeah, other facts and figures I won't bore you with, but yeah, it was him. But we just couldn't get him.
Yeah.
Couldn't get him off the streets
Until he hooked up with that guy Chick.
Hey!
Oh,
Thank you.
Amen. That's salute.
Susie's out here spreading rumors again, telling people that we forgot I forgot the word of the day.
well, shame on you for looking at the chat. There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
So-
I should never.
I
Pay
was
attention.
worried, Pete. I was getting parched, and
You don't need my permission, Chief. I need yours, sir.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk a couple more. Which stories you want to talk about from Squad 2? You want to talk
Oh,
about?
and
know,
by
I
the
mean,
way, they're asking in the chat if Fat Albert was using tryptochloride.
yeah.
You should see the references going on in there.
Yeah.
Chloride
Yeah.
and has tryptochloride hanging around the firehouse all day long.
Yeah,
so.
but Chick's got it on his boat, right, Chick?
It was a made-up thing for the movie Backdraft because you don't like giving recipes to would-be arsonists.
Hey, Chief, who hates fires?
And that's tryptochloride hanging around all day long.
Nice.
You know
Never,
what?
never saw that movie.
I'm going to ask you about, because somebody, one of my little birdies told me to ask you about the Bill Burns story. So that's photo 9, Pete.
Yes, sir.
Right now, up and let the chief talk about the Bill Burns story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill is one of the most amazing guys in the world. He was just a great officer, big tough guy. Raised a great team. All of his guys ended up getting promoted. But just to give you a little thumbnail of little about this guy, this particular job is I had just made lieutenant after 9 years working with this guy and a team, and it was hard to leave because you don't want to leave from such a great outfit. So it's we're about maybe I'm a lieutenant for a couple months, and I'm bouncing. You guys call it bouncing. We call it relieving on a ladder company, truck 35, not far from this fire. And we end up at a fire, same fire that this takes place, but I don't even know. I know my squad guys are there, but I don't have a clue where they're at. And this is this big multi-unit, like a single room occupancy where the bathrooms are down the hallways and a million people living in the building. It was an early Sunday morning. And we always had a lot of bad jobs and bad life loss early Sunday morning, I think, because people are out playing hard on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night.
Right. And there's multiple maydays. The fire had started low in the building, like the basement, and there's only 2 stairways, and both stairways are blocked. And we're on the high first floor, booting in doors and getting, flushing people towards what was at that time a protected stairway. And Bill and my old team are up. He's with a firefighter named Lenny Urbanski and Danny Fabrizio, 2 great guys. Danny ended up being our long-term union president. But they're up on the 3rd floor doing the same thing, real high 3rd floor. And the back, they're in the Charlie side or the 3 side that faces an industrial area. And Chicago's a big town like New York. There's very few windows that you could stick your head out and not be seen. But this was one of them. It was a window to no place. And there's multiple maydays going on. Firefighters, they lost control of both stairways. It's racing up, flashover coming down the hallways. Bill and his team, Danny and Lenny, they worked their way into one of the apartments that they had just booted in the door, and now they're trapped in there. And now because the door is booted in, the pressure of the flashover is pushing the door in. And Bill, this John Wayne guy, has got his back up against the door. He's holding it back. Fire is burning through the top of the door, melting his helmet, as you can see, burning him badly. And Danny's calling him to the window and calling for a ladder, and no one's hearing. We had a guy, one of our fire buffs, ended up later, he's a fire protection engineer. He got a little thing with volunteering with the Western Springs Fire Department, but one of the most knowledgeable fire service guys I know. Bobby Hoff talked about him on your show, a guy named Jim Regan. Jim and his son used to buff with us. They would be at a lot of our fires. His kid was about 14 at the time. He's now one of our Chicago firefighters. But the two of them are out there, and on the scanner radio, they hear Bill's voice, Squad 2, Mayday, we need a ladder in the back. And nobody could hear him, but they heard him because he was so tuned to listening for Squad. So everybody's busy. There was another fire short distance away from there. Companies are kind of scarce. And the fire commissioner, old Ray Orozco, we had father and son both became commissioners. But the father, when he was commissioner, he pulls up and Jim and his son tell him, Squad needs a ladder back there. Well, the three of them, our fire commissioner, who was an older guy at the time, in shape, but an older guy, and Jim Regan, a fire buff, and his 14-year-old kid grabbed a 35-foot ladder, went around to the back of this building, muscled it, raised it up. They had to walk through mud to get back there. They get this ladder up, and the whole time they're waiting for this ladder, Bill's head is melting, but he's not letting go of this door. And Danny he sees him burning up, keeps waving him to the door or to the window, and Bill's not going to let go. He knows if he lets go of the door, his guys are going to die in this flashover. So he says, not till you're on the ladder. So the ladder gets there, and Lenny gets on, and Danny's calling Bill, and he says, get on the ladder. Once Danny's on the ladder, Danny would describe it as Bill looked like Superman flying through the flames, because when he let go of the door, it's like pushing him towards the window. He hooks the ladder, slides the ladder down and off to the burn unit. But that's the type of man. That's why we wear our uniform proud. Every department has those type of guys. And that's Bill. And he wouldn't tell you, that his plan B was if he died, he was just going to drop right there and his big body would somewhat hold that door back. But I know that was his plan B. Just a big, humble, great man. Now about 80 years old and still one of my greatest mentors.
Did that put him out of the job, Chief?
No, it was short
Of course. Hell no.
No, it's not.
Wow. Yeah, that's how we actually got Hoff on the show. Regan approached me at Indy, and he says, you got to have this guy. And he gave me his card. He's a really nice guy, that guy.
He's a great guy. Yeah. I didn't
realize that was the guy.
Yeah, that was the guy who came up to us.
He came by a few times, actually.
Yeah, really nice guy. Yeah, and his son's on the job now?
I saw you guys down there. I did the keynote at the last FDIC, and I walked around. I did a couple classes, and I walked around, and I seen the booth, and I was going to come and talk to you, but you guys were busy, and I really didn't know who you were or about the podcast. I just seen New York guys, and I was going to just...
You could say it. You saw two nitwits standing over there.
Jagoffs. I saw a couple of Jagoffs over there.
I'll let you say it.
They were drinking in the booth about noon.
But another good thing, when Lou, when you called me to do this show, it makes you call people. It made me call Jim Regan because I wanted some pictures, and I called a couple other buffs. There's Gordy Nord, who's not just a buff, he's the chief of Lyons Fire Department, one of our neighboring suburbs, but long time. He just loves the job, and I wouldn't have pictures if it wasn't for guys like Jim Regan, Gordy Nord. Another guy, Steve Reddick, helped me get some pictures to give you to share.
Back then, you had to have a real camera. Now everybody has everybody has a phone or whatever. But back then, you actually had to show up, 3 a.m. with a real camera. It wasn't just somebody that was popping out there,
You didn't have everybody and their grandmother with a cell phone camera.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a couple other stories here, Chief. Which one do you want to talk about before we move on to the lieutenant?
How we doing time-wise? We're good, right?
We're good.
Yeah, we're doing great. 849. We're good.
On squad too, there's a couple other things. You guys had one of your Fidney guys, a diver. He did a job on a helicopter, saved a helicopter.
Paulie
Hagshagen, yeah.
A great guy, yeah, really nice story. And he talked about one of the inspirations for continuing the rescue in the cold water, even though a lot of time had passed by, was this Jimmy Tonilowitz in Chicago. And at the time, it was the record cold water drowning, and I was in on that. Our rescue squads, they used to have us, if it was a cool thing, like we'd be maybe at a fire on the west side, and if a dive job come up, you could maybe 2 minutes after you're coming out of a burn building, hopping into a wetsuit and later a dry suit, coordinating sometimes a landing zone with a helicopter, and they would pluck you up, and you might be 2 miles out in the lake at a boat accident or whatever. But at this particular job, it was wintertime, and there was a kid. You have a picture on that, Pete, just a newspaper thing. It's the only picture I could find.
Photo 5, Pete.
With
5, sorry.
Diver passing up a kid. But this Jimmy Tonilowitz was this little 4-year-old that was sledding with his dad. The sled goes out, and he and his dad go through the ice, and the dad gets pulled out by some people that were there, and the kid was lost. Our divers, one of them was a buddy of mine, Tommy Luzak. I can't think of who the other divers were. I don't think I knew them, but we pull up and we're suited up and ready to go, and the divers are coming, and it was a long ride for us coming from a fire on the west side to get to the lakefront. We get there, and they're pulling up this kid that looked just like one of my kids at home, this little blonde-haired kid, and I grab him, and I'm running him to the ambulance, and I'm thinking, man, we might have a chance, and I race him there, and then once the medics are working on him, I get the storyline, and they're saying at first they were saying I was at least 20 minutes. Well, we know what that means. He's gone. It turned out it was over 40 minutes, and of course he's gone, but our medics did such a great job, and the hospital did such a great job that some months later I heard this kid speak on a newscast, and he was normal, and I cried like a baby.
Wow.
It's just an amazing story of what cold water.
Cold water, right.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's
wow. That's
whenever, be... back to that photo. Whenever I see this, I that actually would make me run faster than a fire. That's insanity. Jumping into that to work. You guys are incredible.
Think of the shrinkage, Pete. You know what I mean?
I'm not even thinking of the shrink. I'm thinking of.
I'm kidding.
Look. I guess was that the kid's sled back there?
Yeah,
it is.
You know what that's like going under that water too, Pete. It's probably pitch black in there too. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah, sun doesn't get through that ice.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Well, you boys are something else. That's all I could say.
All right, Pete. Let's do photo 6. Let's do this one. This is mom and 6 kids.
For future guests' reference, if you're watching this episode, take note. The chief has labeled all of his photos, and what an incredible experience! Look how fast I can just pull them right on up.
Look how fast Pete can pull them up when somebody tells him to pull them up, Ruffy.
Unbelievable.
Look at his face. Look at his face. Look at his face.
I had it right there, right?
On my beach.
I had him at hello.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
this one comes to mind, and it was a super sad one. Working with, again, my great team on the squad. I'm a firefighter, and we get to a job on December 23rd, and on the upper floor of the building, me and my partner, we find which was Danny Fabrizio again. We find this kids all over. It was like a bomb hit up there, and badly burned and smoke, a mother and 6 kids.
God.
So we get the squad team, and that's a lot of them. I'm giving CPR to the mother. I grab the mother off the top of the pile, and the guys are all grabbing kids, and we're running out and working them, and we lost them all. So of course it's tragically sad. And then it became sadder while I was doing CPR, and there's video on this. I still have a video of where the father and another daughter come running up, and the girl's yelling, "That's my sister! That's my sister!" And it's just heartbreaking. And the dad come running up because I'm doing CPR on his wife, and you're feeling so bad for him. And then we find out later that the dad was the arsonist, and I don't believe he wanted to kill his family. I think they wanted to get a new apartment at that time. It was a huge multi-unit, like a tenement. And for government assisted living, the only way to get a new apartment was, so he starts a fire low in the apartment building, not understanding fire science, that it's going to go up the stairs, and he killed his own family. But a thing like little side note out of this story that I was thinking of when I was just trying to think of interesting things to talk about. I had this great partner on the squad, one of our guys, I already mentioned his name, but I think Bobby McKee, who happens to be a cousin of Bobby Hoff, but Bob McKee was one of our guys on the squad, and we, after this fire, this mom was real big, and you know how people when they're in flimsy night clothes and dead or lifeless, they're very rubbery, and it was real hard, muscling her on the shoulder and keep her there. She's trying to roll off it, bringing her down from the third floor, and we did. And afterwards, Bob was one of the just a brilliant student of the game, still is, and retired, but I think he still works for a neighboring department, Evergreen Park, as a little side gig because he just loves it too much. But Bobby and I were always comparing notes and making tools and figuring ways to do the job better and more efficient. And Bobby had pitched something to me before. He read, you guys might know, it was an old book written by a New York guy. And one thing that he suggested for dragging victims was hog tying their wrists together so you have that loop to drag them. And we kind of laughed at it. I'm not going to be in the middle of Shitsville with 1,300 degree temperature and zero visibility, taking the time to tie someone's wrist. But later I'm telling him, Bobby, that probably would have been a good solution here. So out of this, we sat together and we come up with a 6-foot drag strap. First ones we made out of rope, then later webbing with fixed loops, and a 6-foot strap with a fixed loop at each end where you just pull it through and it's a quick snap. I could put it on a victim in less than 2 seconds. And now you have that strap to drag. We've saved a lot of lives with those. And I think they use them all over the country. One of our guys, a guy named Paulie Basic, I used to have him in some of the live hands-on training classes we did. I know he started marketing them, and I know they're well used. Christ, we use them on our television show now, but it's a great tool to always have something that you can drag people out.
Yeah.
We used to do the handcuff,
right? The love
handcuff,
yeah.
The handcuff knot.
Yeah. Huh. All right, so Pete, let's go to photo 7 while we're in the squad. We're on squad 2 as a firefighter, 3 line of duties on Milwaukee Avenue.
Yeah, this is a pretty sad one, and I'm going to piggyback it with the next fire, just with a lesson learned and how important, lessons learned are on this job and how it can save your life, So we have this terrible fire. It was actually on Bobby Hoff's shift, and I come on the next day working in for someone and was still at this fire, but it started and we lost three friends of mine. The captain was Knuckles and Mike Talley and Mike Fortune, just 3 great guys. And a 4th guy, Sammy Lasko, movie star, handsome kid. He got burned up so badly, couldn't recognize him. Bobby Hoff didn't tell you again because he's humble, but Bobby was one of the guys. He was the main guy that saved Sammy, pulled him out of the fire. The guy had fallen through a roof of this truss roof building and crawled up on fire on this truss, and Bobby grabs him and pulls him into the snow and beats the flames off. And his team, which I later inherited when I made lieutenant, I had his team and Bobby moved up. But we lost 3 great guys, got a 4th one burned up, and the 5th guy in that company, to show you how primitive we were, a guy named Billy Carter, just a great man. A book that I wrote many years later, in fact, like 20 years to the day, I did an interview with Billy Carta because I was writing this book, Firefighter from the Heart. And I wanted to piggyback two stories, this one and another story that I'm about to tell you, because the lesson learned saved my life. It's the reason I'm here now. But I'm interviewing Billy and to find out what he did after that. Billy was the fifth guy coming up, and they're venting this roof, and Billy got grabbed by the battalion chief to take some plywood off of a window. So by the time he gets to the top of the ladder, he's seeing four guys falling through the roof. You know, he just sees their bodies dropping in. His team, his brothers, and there's nothing he can do. He jumps down from a high, probably 20-foot jump into a snowbank and starts yelling. He was out of his mind. He's yelling to people, grab this, we need a battering ram. We got to get through this wall. And he's trying to batter through a brick wall, and it was, to no avail. But a bad thing, at that time, we didn't understand post-traumatic stress or counseling or the need, thereof. And Billy Carta, the very next day, he was sitting back at the same kitchen table waiting for his brothers to walk in to come to work. And when relievers got there, bouncers, as you guys would say, as other people come through the door, it hit him that was the first time it really hit him that they were dead. And he had a really, really tough time getting over this. And just talking about it was therapy, But and then to jump and to kind of get off of a real sad story, a short time later, we have almost an identical building. And the one I just told you about is one of those where arson for profit. There was an arsonist that lit it, who owned the building, and he was lighting it up because the electronics business on the first floor, which was huge, was doing bad. And they had multiple stores that were doing good, but this one was doing bad. So they torched it for insurance money and weakened the structure. And there was families that lived up above in apartments, and they didn't care, but our guys luckily rescued those families. So fast forward a few months, and now on my shift on Pulaski Avenue, with Bill Burns in the group, we pull up and we have like the identical building, except it's a liquor store on the first floor, and it's closed up and like boarded up. They were doing either remodeling or the business was closed, but the apartments up above there's probably 40 people living in these apartments above, and the first floor, it's just rolling. This place is cooking. So our captain, Bill Burns, he assigns a guy, Danny Fabrizio, and myself to make the second floor, start a search of primary on 2. So I see this stairway in the back, and there was a stairway, if you can picture a old wooden stairway that led up to the roof of this liquor store that led to the back door of this apartment building. That was the shortest route. And I said, let's go. And the same truck company that had just lost 3 guys, Truck 58, the officer was a guy named Freddie Becker, and for years I never knew who the 2 firefighters, but the 3 of them are up there. They got the K-12 working, and they're opening the roof, and Danny and I are crossing to get to this doorway, and it wasn't real noticeable, but my instincts were really heightened because I paired it with this building on Milwaukee Avenue, and we know they always say if the roof is spongy, it's a warning sign. This wasn't real spongy. It was just a little bit. So what you have to do is always trust your instincts. And I did that day. And only because we had just buried 3 guys, I yell over to Truck 58, Freddie, get him off of there. This roof's going to go. And I remember it like it was yesterday. They threw the tools down. The saw is still spinning. And they go running for these back stairs. And I'm thinking in my mind, now Danny and I are still walking. The only thing we altered is we walked closer to the sidewall, right on the sidewall where it's the strongest, where the joist.
Yeah, where it's attached to the wall. Yeah.
To get a little strength. And we're continuously walking, but I'm looking back as they're throwing the tools. I'm thinking, I didn't mean to run. You had
right. I was just thinking the same thing,
right?
Chief.
Yeah. But you remember they're gun shocked. They
just lost their guys. Yeah,
they just lost brothers. So what they do? So they take off. I step into a second later. I step into the threshold of this apartment building. Now, Danny, I'm 5'10". Danny's about 6'2". I turned back for Danny, maybe 6'1". I turned back for Danny, and his head is down about here. He's falling through the roof. The roof is going quick, and he's got like a weird, like a smile on his face. It was shock or whatever. But I grab Danny. He grabs me. I pull him on top of me, and we're laying there, and the entire roof gave way. And there was flames shooting 40 feet up into the air.
Holy shit.
The rest of our team down below, because the air gets displaced when the roof dropped, it blew plywood like 100 feet. It knocked firefighters for a loop. A lot of our guys got burned and injured. And I'm yelling at Danny, Freddie Becker, truck 58. He says, no, they just made it. I looked. Danny, because he was the last coming in the door, he had just looked back, and they had just made that back stairway when the roof went, and this go on a little bit. We had one of our guys, Kenny Witecki, a great guy. He's partnered up with the captain, and he had to hold back. Bill Burns ran to the top of the stairs because the guys that we had just saved by telling them to get off the roof. Freddie Becker goes to Bill. He's looking at the flames. He says, your guys are up there. Chick and Danny are up there. And Bill runs, and he's like going to swan dive into the fire. And he's calling me on the radio. And on radio, you call, you have a company signature. You don't call people by name. I don't think any department would, but all of a sudden I'm hearing Chikerotis. And I grabbed the radio. We're booting indoors. We're pulling people out of apartments. And I know it's my cap. I said, yeah, Cap, this is Chikerotis. He says, is Danny with you? I said, yeah, Danny's with me. We're searching the second floor. And he said something like, carry on. And I guess he collapsed. He was
just so nervous. Yeah.
He thought he lost two guys.
Yeah.
It was as close as we ever
Good
could
thing,
come.
your little spidey sense would tingle in there. You know what I mean?
Chief, what was what were the roofs? That wasn't just regular dimensional wood then. What was going on there?
It was ordinary construction. It was 2x10s or 12s were the joists. You can kind of there's a picture looking down into the hole. You can see him laying down there. That's a newspaper picture when we're overhauling. But yeah, that's it. And so that was almost my grave. There would have been maybe five of us die there had not we really been saved. I always say we were saved
by those guys before you.
Mackles and Talley and Fortune.
Yeah.
I really felt them. I believed it. And then, the little things like when you trust your instincts and it makes a difference, certainly in my life. I mean, that night I was at my wife's uncle's funeral, who was a great man that we were real close with. And I'm looking at the casket and I'm thinking my family doesn't even have a clue.
Yeah.
What just happened? How close I could have been in there. Yeah.
How close, could have been five of us. God. And then I never knew who the other two firefighters were. And then one of your previous guests, a buddy of mine, Mike Timothy, he's a battalion chief up north. I'm a battalion chief on the southeast side. And he calls me to work a day for him. And I'm working up there and I'm going around the houses, picking up paper and stuff in the morning. And I see a guy I hadn't seen in about, 15, 20 years. And this guy, he was ready to retire at the time, a guy named Terry Clancy. And we're laughing and joking about the old days. He's a blue shirt on this truck 58. Or no, truck 57 now. He had been on truck 58 when I knew him. And I'm walking out of the house after, a half-hour conversation with him and the guys. And he said, hey, Chick, I don't know if I ever thanked you. And he brings up this fire.
Wow.
And
wow. I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, right. And he told me something to the fact, I think when my kids' birthdays and stuff.
Holy shit.
And we don't get many thanks in this job because we don't know our customers, but
wow.
Trust your instincts is the lesson out of this story.
Yeah,
we say that all the time on the show.
Yeah.
I used to tell my guys all the time, that little thing in your stomach when it turns, that's usually a good sign that something is not 100% right. So
Absolutely, and what it is, the military did a big study on this. Everything you read, shows like this with all the great guests that you had on, not me, but the great guests that you had previously to me, sharing all this great information, you're taking that in. That's filling up the hard drive, but most of us, we don't have total recall, but it comes back to you as instinct. So it's something that you've seen in the past, did in the past, learned in the past, and now it's just time to trust it when it comes at that little voice.
I told you, this guy's dropping old school.
That's another old school. They
right
just
out
throw
of
it
the
in his
pockets.
pocket like nothing.
Hey, Pete, can you say chick or something, man? I need a drink.
Oh, Chick, you said it.
The guy's punched.
And if
Chick's dropping old school tips.
Who was this
today.
guy? Who was this guy, Mike Timothy? You speak of?
Oh,
I've never
that
heard of him.
That guy. We're gonna go ahead. I don't know how this happens, Ruffy, but he gets promoted lieutenant. Guess where he winds up?
Oh,
Squad 2. I don't know how this happens. This guy.
I think it's what is that luck again.
I think he's gonna get the next salty for the luckiest guy on the show.
I would take that because I feel like the luckiest guy. But I relieved for a while on some busy engines and trucks, and my whole time the goal was to get back to my squad company, and I did, and I inherited Bobby Hoff's old shift. Probably got a picture, photo 10.
Photo 10?
yep.
Bobby Hoff.
Never heard of him.
No, it's my guys now. Hoff moved on. He made captain and then battalion chief, and now I'm the lieutenant. And right next to me, guys Sean O'Driscoll, Vic Walchuk, Tommy Banks, legendary guy. A million stories on Tommy. All of these guys are. And
They don't look like they're having any fun.
No fires there either. No
Wayne Barney, but
Look at those faces. Holy shit, man. They are
Yeah.
pumped up.
And we'd go to 3-4 fires a day and be chomping at the bit for the fifth one. That's these guys, and that's all the guys that I worked with. They always wanted to, never too tired to go to the next one. So
now, would you guys have one piece, one rescue rig? How'd you guys operate the squads?
Over the years, it changed. We first had just one piece, and then it was just like a heavy rescue, and we would have everything again from scuba to confined space and extrication and all of the technical rescue disciplines that rescue squads do. And we had it all in one rig, and then we incorporated a second rig, and we still run that way today. It's now snorkel squads. We have a 55-foot snorkel that chases or leads sometimes the box, the big toolbox, and we ride together as one unit with 6 firefighters on the rescue squad. On the squad, I still call it rescue squad. It's officially in Chicago, we'd call it squad. That's squad 2.
So is it an officer and 5 guys, or is it an officer and 6 guys?
Correct. No, officer and 5.
Oh, so that's how we ride, right?
Yep.
That's only our squads. Our trucks, our trucks and engines, ladders and pumpers. They ride with an officer, and the engine will have an officer and an engineer and 3 firefighters, and the truck an officer and 4 firefighters, and then they'll knock us down with a variance once in a while where you're running one guy short, but very seldom will the squad run less than 6 because of mostly because of the hazmat, the scuba diving. You need everything you can get.
You need the backups. Yeah, you need the whole stuff. Yeah.
That snorkel rig's a funny looking rig, ain't it? Isn't that like a weird thing?
Yeah, we talked about that. And
that was designed by our old fire commissioner, Quinn, Robert J. Quinn. He designed it, and he stole it. He's seen cherry pickers that they use for utility companies, and incorporated it. He brought the first one was just a cherry picker that they used, and then we got the snorkels as you see them now, but they designed by our commissioner.
I think Hoff was saying that too.
Really the chief of department. I know you have the chief of your department is the guy that's really running the everyday operations, and
right.
Commissioner's more a politician. Our commissioner is the chief of department.
Yeah. See,
right.
I didn't know that.
See, now it's coming back. I think Hoff was in the rescues. Well, the snorkel he was calling it early too, right? I believe
he was. When I came to Squad 2, he was a lieutenant on the other shift, and I kind of chased him up at one time. We were director and assistant director of training together. So throughout our career, we worked.
But I was one step behind that Hoff, huh?
I was just gonna say, you know what? Between the three of them, Timothy, Hoff, and the chief here, I'm really starting to like these Chicago guys. I didn't think I was gonna like them. Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna like them.
I was getting
we weren't so sure about you either, Lou.
That's 100%. No doubt about that.
I watched the Chicago Fire thing, and I'm like, everybody's good looking. Where's the fat ugly fireman? What's going on? I mean, come on.
Television, Kevin. Television.
Come on. All right, so you're on the squad. We saw photo 10. Tell us about let's go to photo 11, Petey, the hero dad story.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool story. I'm just checking the time with my reading glasses here. I call it the hero dad. We had a fire that we lost a dad and a mother-in-law, but I'll get back to it. We're crawling in this multiple unit, you'd call it a tenement, multi-unit apartment building. We're on the third floor with my rescue squad. We traveled a long distance to get there, coming from the west side to the northeast side, because our district was big. So we get there and guys are working every place and fires everywhere. So we're starting our search up on the top floor where people would be most in trouble. And I split my team, my 6 guys, into 3 teams, and my partner that day is Sean O'Driscoll, one of the best guys you'll ever meet. And Sean has the wall, and I'm sweeping out into zero visibility in the center of the room. We got fire rolling over our head, and we don't have a hose line even to that section of the building because the lines went up the opposite side. It was like a U-shaped courtyard apartment. The porches in between burned out. So we had the engine company that was across the way hitting like over our head as we're searching. And my team is in other rooms, and Sean and I are in there, and I sweep out and I grab a child's foot. I yell, Sean, I got one. And I'm trying to pull the kid to me, and the kid's not moving. Too heavy. I crawl out there and I'm reaching higher, and there's a pile of kids. This hero dad. And we've seen the opposite. I'm sure you guys have. I've seen parents run out and leave
their kids burnt, in there.
Cowards. This guy, they're trapped. They have no place to go. He stacks his kids, the smallest kids at the bottom, and stacked them like cordwood. I think there was 3 little kids at the bottom, a couple bigger kids on top of them. Then he had his wife. Then he had his mother-in-law, and he laid on top, sprawled out, shielding them from the heat. And he was burned so badly that, as I'm taking him because I'm taking off the top of the pile, and my team is grabbing my wife and the mother-in-law and the kids, and his skin is, stretching off down the hall as I'm dragging, carrying, and getting him out of this building. And that's I'm doing CPR on him, and at that time, that's what's in my head, that I got to save this guy. He's such a heroic guy. And I'm hoping that his kids make it. And you see in the other pictures, there's Tommy Greco, one of my great guys, carrying a kid in the top right, and Sean O'Driscoll in the bottom carrying a kid. And the guys did brilliant CPR on everybody. They brought back these 5 kids and the mother and the mother-in-law, but the mother-in-law ended up dying from her burns. But this dad, we got him back for a while, and I went all the way to the hospital doing CPR, and because I wanted to save this guy so bad, and we lost him. And it haunted me for a long time. I would think about this hero and wonder about his family. And then a few years later, maybe it might have been 4 years later, I get a call from, I'm a chief at the time, I believe, maybe a captain. I get a call from from a deputy district chief. He's saying, "Do you remember this fire?" And he's giving me the address, and I said, "Of course I do." And he says, "Well, we're getting sued by the family." And the fire department, along with, that's the way lawyers work, they sue everybody and see what sticks. But they're suing the fire department because the dad and the mother-in-law died. So I had always dreamt and hoped and wished that I would have a chance to someday see this family and tell them that their dad, what a hero he was. When I'm walking up to testify in court, they're looking at me like I'm bin Laden. That this family, that the kids had grown 4 years. They're all dressed nicely. The mother's dressed pretty, and they're all sitting in this front row. And I'm this evil person that killed their dad and her mother. And I get a chance to talk, and their lawyer, how lawyers work, they try and cut you off, but they let me, the city's lawyer got me where I could talk. And I was able to tell them that I always hoped I had this chance. And I said, I just wanted to tell you how heroic. I started off by telling them how heroic my guys were and what we did. And that's the reason that they were alive, But I wanted to tell them also what a hero that their dad was, and that I thought of him often. And I swear to God, the judge was crying. The family was crying. We were no longer the bad guys. I don't know or care what happened in the lawsuit, and then years later, now I'm writing storylines for television and movies. I've been doing that for years. So I took that storyline because it's such a weird, and people were saying, well, that's not too believable. And
meanwhile, that's probably,
I made
yeah.
Truth is stranger than fiction, man.
Yeah.
At least that came out. At least they felt that, you know what I mean? That would have been horrible to
I gotta say, given the same situation, I probably would have done the same thing for my kids, except I would put my mother-in-law on top, probably.
Use her like a shield.
A blanket.
Especially because she's staying with you forever now.
I'm kidding. I love my mother-in-law.
This show is going to end sometime, and you got to go out and face this, Kevin.
It doesn't hurt that bad, Ma. Come on.
Yeah. Tomorrow morning, if she gives me the special, oatmeal. No, this one's for you, Kev. This is yours. This one's yours.
This one. Kids, don't eat your dad's
Don't eat daddy's oatmeal.
That's good. That's a great story, Chief. That's incredible.
It really is. So before we get into your promotion stuff, let's talk about the film industry a little, because you were involved with Backdraft back in 1990, and now you're involved with Chikerotis.
One second, there's just one that
Go ahead.
I'll make it brief, but it's a good lesson that I think should be shared. We don't always win in this job, and I had we're doing a search. I'm a lieutenant on squad 2. One of my guys, Billy Duffy, tough fireman. And again, we had a good team that everybody knew each other's moves. And he and I are doing a primary search on the second floor, apartment building above a fire. And we sweep from the front to the back. First bedroom we get in, I'm sweeping on the bed, under the bed. Billy's checking the closets, clear. We're moving down. We get to the back of this apartment. And I call in, primary search complete on 2, negative. And the chief, now the fire's a little more under control. And the chief says, all right, give me a secondary squad. And now we're backtracking. And all the way when I hit that first bedroom, I started, the one that I started with. Now it's the last room that I'm checking before we're done. Again, I sweep on the bed, look under the bed, blankets. I pull the bed away from the wall a little bit. And I hear thump. And there's this little kid that wasn't burned. He was dead from smoke, and wedged into that space between like a queen size bed, in the wall. Mm-hmm. I don't know where the parents were, but they weren't around. And I ran him to the ambulance, worked him, and we didn't get him back. And it was like haunting me for a long time. It's been years, so I don't remember exactly how long. And I don't, it ain't no poor me, but I'd like to share because I think this can help people. I was seeing this kid's face. I was just getting by, and it was painful because I was blaming myself. if I would have found him, if I would have pulled that mattress away from the wall the first time, you know, and I end up talking. I go and hunt down my old captain, Bill Burns, who's now a chief, and I'm a lieutenant on the squad. And I sit with him and I tell him about this story. I said, it's killing me, boss. And he said, all right, let's think about this. He said, you're doing a primary search. What's the definition of a primary search? You know, a rapid search in high heat conditions. And he said, all right, how about you're searching like you're looking for a contact lens, and then you end up finding that body in the third room, and you wasted all that time to get to the back. He said, you were doing a primary search. He said, I want to ask you again, did you do your best? And I said, yeah, boss, I did. I did my best. And he said, that's all we can do, Steve. You know, we didn't set the fire. We didn't set up the situation. So all we can do is our best. And remember that when it doesn't work out, that we don't always win. This isn't television or movies. It's the real shit. Yep. And when we don't win, do your best and you'll never have regrets, and you can live with it. And then God sorts it out after that, you know.
You definitely need a guy like that to give you that perfect example. That was a perfect example.
Yeah, I'm giving him this. I'm giving him this again. He's dropping these things all over the place, bro. Old school tip of the day.
I want it.
He's probably we can
the
have
most tips in one show. That's what I'm giving.
Incredible.
He's dropping them out like backdraft money. You know what I mean? They're just falling out all over the place.
What's that money come out of your pockets? Oh wait, no.
Speaking
wait. That's my Chicago money. Fire. Hold on a minute. That's my
Look
Chicago.
Look at this over here. One of my all-time favorite actors is Kurt Russell. Man, I would say probably top two. How is that working with? Or at least, working with him, meeting him. How was Kurt Russell? I'm really curious.
You know, I've been now in the film industry for 30 years, so it becomes common. But this was my first, so of course it was huge. And I'll tell you how it happened. You know, again, I'm a goal-oriented guy, and I'm an overly optimistic. But I'm sitting before I go to work, and at the time I'm a lieutenant. And I did a 4-month detail at the fire academy to train a new recruit class. We call them candidates. You guys call them probies. So I'm down there for this class. But before I leave for work, I'm reading this little newspaper clip, and it says Ron Howard, who I've always been a fan of. I like most people. I grew up with
Happy Days.
Well, yeah, I'm older than that, so I grew up with Andy and Mayberry, and
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's way back.
Right. And Ron Howard's my age, so he was that kid that was my age that I watched, and he becomes this director and movie director and big time, and he's it says that he's coming to Chicago and he's going to do a movie, and it's called Backdraft. Didn't say nothing else about it, but I tell Mary, I said that's a fire term, Backdraft. He's got to be doing a fire department movie. I'm going to meet that guy. This was just taken a couple of years ago. That's Donald Sutherland and I doing another movie. But
Shadow.
This one here is Ron Howard. I did a roast of him a few years back. And that's Jim Lovell, the astronaut from Apollo 13.
Oh, shit. Oh, wow. Nice.
He also roasted Ron Howard, the two of us, because my connection with Backdraft and Ron did the movie Apollo 13. But anyway, I tell her.
How could you hang out with a known torch, though? I'm really.
Yeah. I got a funny story about him when I finish this other one. So I tell her I'm going to meet Ron Howard. I'm going to call Ron Howard. I said he's going to have to need a technical advisor for this movie, and like a dream. So she probably laughed it off. I don't know if it was that day, but it was certainly within a couple days. I'm in a classroom now. You're teaching a fire academy, just like you guys have with the ROC. We have classrooms and a lot of hands-on training, and we do both. But I'm doing a classroom training session on rescue, the technical parts of rescue that a probie would know. And I'm in the classroom, and the door opens up, and it's our chief of training and Ron Howard. And they come walking in the back of the room, and I'm thinking, this this really happening? So I want to stop and talk to him, and Ron says, no, please, just keep teaching. So they sit in the back of the class, and I keep teaching. Now, I would be lying if I didn't say I started auditioning, because that's what I was doing. I'm teaching my class, but I made it more visual. Everything. I'm kind of a visual. I think I talk and I write visual anyway, which works good with screenwriting. But I was describing things in visual terms, hoping to impress him.
Right.
And when by the time before I finish the class, they get up and leave, and then they're gone. By the time I get down, I come down. The guys in the break room, all the other instructors. Chick, you should have been down here. We're just
all schmoozing. Yeah, we're schmoozing them. They're like, shit, man, I missed my chance.
We're talking Richie Cunningham. Sit on it, Richie.
Right?
Sit on it.
Potsy.
So I'm kicking myself. And like the very next day, there's no cell phones at that time, or at least I didn't have one. They were probably this big, But I get a phone call up at the front desk, and we had this older black woman that was there, this real sweetheart. But she answers the phones for the academy, and she pages me, front phone. And I walk down this hallway, and she hands me the phone. And guy says, Lieutenant Chikerotis, this is Ron Howard. And he starts to talk, and I said, yeah, I got you, Ron Howard. And I banged the phone and hung it up. Because I know it's my buddies busting my chops down the hall, right?
Come on, you didn't do that, did you?
Yeah, he did. Look at the man's eyes. He did.
Oh my goodness!
Now I'm walking back down this hall, and this woman is shooting me daggers. She's pissed that I did that. And I'm walking down the hallway, and he calls again, thank God. And she calls me back, and she's standing there with her arms crossed, and she hands me the phone like, don't you dare do that again. And I had just been thinking, man, it kind of sounded like it. And it was. Ron Howard.
Kind of sounded like him.
He offered me a job, and I got 6 months with him. I started teaching and prepping the actors, and it carried on, as a tech advisor throughout the movie. And it was a 6 months work, but it kind of launched that dual career that I started doing.
Did you tell Kurt Russell, you go, we go?
We had a lot of fun.
Did you work while you were working on that film?
I did. I balanced it with trades. We worked 24 48s, and then every fifth day is a daily day. And I traded things and, moved my furlough time and stuff so that I could be on the show certainly every time they needed me. And it worked out.
That's great.
Kurt Russell, Billy Baldwin, these are guys that are friends of mine to this day. Ron Howard, Jason Gedrick. You had that one picture that you popped up of my arsonist buddy, and
here he is.
There you go.
You mean
Donald Sutherland, Shadow, and we did a movie we filmed in Europe, and it was a sequel supposed to be like Backdraft, but the only two in it were because we killed everybody else off. Was our arsonist, Donald Sutherland, and Billy Baldwin, who's been a longtime buddy of mine. So it was great seeing Billy, but I hadn't seen Donald for, I think at that time, it might have been 26 years or something.
Wow.
And we're about 3 weeks in, and the cast is telling me, hey, Chick, your buddy is coming tomorrow. I said, who's my buddy? And they said, Donald Sutherland. I said, guys, he worked a couple weeks with the movie. We worked 6 months. His was all probably about 3 weeks, and he's not going to know me, but of course I know him, So we're setting up the first scene after 26 years, and I'm going to wait. And at the end of the day, I'm going to mention to him how we had worked before. So we're 5 minutes into setting up the first scene, and it's Donald and our lead actor and the director and myself in the room. And I'm just a fly on the wall. I know my order, it's between them and the director, and I'll answer questions. So I'm quiet, and Donald stops, and he looks over at me, and he's staring, and he's making eye contact. He says, Chick, holy fuck, man, you got old. No,
did you say Chick? You said Chick.
Hey, I didn't want to interrupt him. There you go.
Oh,
it's really nice because I know how you feel. They're not supposed to know you, even when you work with them. So, for example, I've shot a few.
Petey's excited.
I
Hold
shot
on,
a few
Petey's
interviews.
excited.
I shot a few interviews with Oprah.
Hold on.
With Oprah, right?
Hold on.
3 days in a row, three different things, right? And every single day, that woman looked me in the eye and said, "Oh, what's your name? Nice to meet you." Totally didn't give a fuck who I was, right? But here's a guy after how many years? 20?
I think about 26. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
pretty
Hold
cool.
on a second. There we go. Much better. Nice. He's
Nice to be
gone.
the producer.
Oh wait, hold on. He woke up now. There he is. There he is.
I just pulled my shit out of the thing. Hold on.
Anyway, yeah.
I was
So
gonna
it's
run and take
funny.
a piss. Why'd you bring me back?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it's nice to be remembered, man. And you're right. You're supposed to be a fly on the wall. No one's supposed to know your name.
And in Backdraft, in the original Backdraft, not the sequel, but I worked with one of your Fidney guys, Jack McGee. He's a good buddy of mine, and Jack was our engineer on Backdraft.
That's it. He's a chauffeur, right? The heavyset guy, right?
Yeah. What a great guy. I don't know.
That guy is awesome, man. Yeah.
I don't know how many years. Oh, he's done a million movies. A brilliant actor and really fun to hang around with. Another one of your guys. I do a television show now, Chicago Fire, that
Never heard of it.
started literally pitching ideas on a napkin in Maggiano's Italian restaurant about 10 years ago. And right now we just finished filming our 208th episode.
That's incredible.
Wow.
And I'm blessed to, I work with, actors and crew, and it become a really tight family. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the actors, and I could, name them all, but you would know them. But guys like Eamon Walker, who plays Bowden, and Dave Eigenberg and Taylor Kinney, Jesse Spencer, Miranda Ray Mayo, and I could go on now. I probably have to name them or they'll be pissed.
Hey, we got some pictures, right? Of
Chicago Fire.
Chicago Fire.
Well, there's a really interesting one here with a very interesting lady. Why don't you tell us about this one?
It's Lady Gaga.
You get
trying
around,
to sniff her right there. It looks like you're trying to get a sniff on her.
She's a friend. Yeah, she's a friend. We also ride motorcycles together. And at the time, she was dating my buddy who's with her there, Taylor Kinney, who plays Severide on the show. But just a great lady. And you want to talk about a genius, just a brilliant person, self-made, self-created, her persona. And she's really down to earth, grew up blue collar, New York girl. And I love her, sweetheart.
Chief, you know what I wanted to ask you? How was the reception from the guys like that were, obviously we're still working, and how did that go over? Obviously with Backdraft, and now with Chicago Fire, because you were still working at that time, correct?
Yeah, reception like.
Yeah, I mean, were guys upset? Were they jealous? Were they this or that? Like, did you get shunned at all, or any of that crap?
No, I'm not that kind of guy. I don't worry about that shit anyway. But
true.
I mean, who knows? Some people might be, but no, I have a lot of great friends, and I'll tell you what, with the two shows, and people sometimes make fun. We don't do it that way. Yeah, it's television. It's for entertainment.
That's the
But
whole
a
thing.
lot of the incidents were things that are coming from my heart. They're where we lost people and saved people, and the kind that you went home, crying in the car on your drive home because of what you did that night, seeing kids die. We try and bring that into the show, and what among all the other stuff, you got sex sells, so you have to have that. You
Took
have
the words
different-
right out of my
different
mouth.
things.
So you beat me to it.
And you can't have the smoke that we know. We work in a zero visibility world, but it would be a radio show, right?
Yeah, exactly. Describe this scene to me.
But every time I teach around the country, sometimes out of the country, but every place I teach, including, I've taught classes in Europe and places that I teach, they join the fire service. A lot of people because of Chicago Fire, because of Backdraft. They filled up the ranks of volleys that were starving for people because, they like me. I didn't know what firefighters did before.
Right, gives them a little avenue into it.
Yeah, it gives and what we try and show, we always showed them on my shows, we always show them as noble people, and we show the emotional roller coaster ride that firefighters take. That it's not always easy. The rides home can be painful sometimes. You can have a hard time sleeping because of this job, but also the emotional highs you get when you rescue somebody, and it shows you kind of see through the smoke and understand what the job's about a little bit. So I take pride in that. And our actors, all of the actors on the movies that I've done and the fire stuff, and my television actors, this whole group, the charities that they get involved with. When I go to FDIC, we do things for firefighter cancer charities. They raise a lot of money. They're always they take great pride in honoring the fire service and being able to portray firefighters. And we started that way, right with the first day of training. I had them in the academy, and we have now 577 badges on the wall of our brothers that died in the line of duty. And I told them right off the bat, these are the heroes these are my heroes. These are who we represent. And it's not just here, but you're doing a television character of firefighters. So you're really representing firefighters from around the country, and they take it to heart. And I love them, and I'm proud of them. And they're like my family, like my brothers, in some cases, like my sons and daughters.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I'm trying to visualize that meeting I ate at that Italian restaurant. I have a buddy in Chicago, great restaurant. So what's up like this, right, Ruffy? All right, listen, we're going to take some real stories, but we're going to put really good-looking firemen and chicks in there. And everybody's going to be banging each other in the firehouse. It's going to be great.
Well, what's the problem with that?
Chief, I was going to ask you, do you ever see Jason? Pat, we had him on the show from Chronicles, when he makes fun of the show. Like every once in a while, he'll do like one of those funny things that is so funny.
Yeah, you know what? He hasn't done one on my show that I've seen. He's done them on the other shows, and I think they make it a little easier for him to do on those shows, because I see some silly shit. But Jace, you're watching. It's okay to do a Chicago fire one, but I did meet him. I met him this year at FDIC, and what a great guy.
Oh, he's a great guy, man.
Yeah, he is. Really. We have a great time in Indy with all these guys. We're going out to dinner.
Yeah.
Now that I know that chick.
Hey!
Oh.
Thought I was sleeping.
Now that I know he's involved in so many movies, Ruffy, I think he's buying us dinner.
I was just going to say somebody. Actually, I know we're nobody, but now I know he's somebody.
Oh yeah, and we know somebody. Now we know somebody.
He still has his backdraft.
I heard about Kevin. I heard he gets alligator arm when it's time to reach for the wallet.
Not this guy.
Another one of your New York guys, Jimmy Hanlon. I don't know if you ever knew him, but he became he was a fireman for a number of years, and he became a director, and he did one, maybe two of our episodes on Chicago Fire. But what a great man, and he was in that Chicago Fire picture. I don't know what number 14, Pete, if you can pop that one up.
I got you.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that picture. He was in the bottom left, Petey.
Yep.
No,
number
maybe
14?
I gave you the wrong number. 13.
13. Sorry.
I see in there, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's right in the middle of that picture to the left.
Make that bigger, Petey. I can't see it.
I'm making it.
Thank you.
You damn Sydney guys, you're everywhere, man.
Look at that. We're all over the place.
Well, like stink.
Shit. Oh. If they ever needed the extras, retired firemen on the show, you know what I'm saying? I could probably round up a couple of them,
Professional cameramen,
Or professional cameramen, yep.
I'm looking at the time, and I think we got to cut. We got to cut a couple of the stories I was going to talk about.
He's like, all right, that's it, Petey. You're out.
Thanks for coming on.
No. I'm just telling you, there's a couple other stories I had that I wanted to.
All right, let's get on it. We're having a fun time here. Let's get so you can promote it.
One other as a deputy, because you guys just had that tough fire in the Bronx, and my heart to all the firefighters that had to deal with it, and put it all on the line to make a bunch of rescues, but lost a bunch of kids. I know how they're feeling, and we know how tough the high-rise jobs can be, and I've been in a million of them. But we had one that was pretty interesting, and it ties in with this. These people died in the Bronx because the simple apartment fire that it started in, they had a self-closing door that they probably blocked open. I'm guessing blocked open. Who knows? Sometimes a body drops there or something they're trying to save drops there and holds the door open. As a deputy, I had 30 firehouses, and I had all of our Gold Coast and downtown area, and then I had the West Side, the shoot 'em, stab 'em areas. I had a big district, but in the downtown area, we had a high-rise fire, and we pull up, and first thing you do is recall the elevators and bring the elevators down to the lobby, and the elevator opens up, and here's this find out she was a beautiful young girl, and she was burned up beyond recognition. And this is the middle of the morning, like 2:00 in the morning or something. And that's just, now it's time to go to work. Now we get up to the upper floor and we knock down the fire and we put the pieces together. And this pretty young girl had just graduated college and a professional job. I forget what her occupation might have been, with a law firm or something. And she moves away from her family, moves in Chicago, and she's in her high-rise new condo. And she leaves. We can see her on security footage leaving at maybe 2 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. They'll go across the street to a convenience store to get who knows what. And we see her coming back with her bag and getting in the elevator. Well, in the meantime, that's when we had gotten called by the alarms. A fire starts, had been burning for some time. The people right across the hallway from the elevator, their place is completely rolling. They run, they escape their apartment, and they block their door open on purpose because they weren't sure if their cat made it out. So they blocked that door open, and now this pretty girl, she comes up, the elevator doors open.
Oh, she gets blasted right there. Wow.
It's an inferno. She didn't have a chance. So many bad things, just by simply closing a door, and not blocking a self-closing door. So kind of related with your Bronx job. So I wanted to throw that one in. But some of the other ones we'll talk over a beer maybe sometime, huh?
Yeah, man.
He's getting
That was another little tip they gave.
He's getting it.
Hey, we got to see what else.
I'm getting closer to that trophy, Kevin.
We might have to book him right now for the next Salties because he's such a busy guy. Who knows? He might be in Hollywood. He might be in Europe. So
He could be over here.
We're going to nominate him for the most numerous old school tips of the day.
I wonder what our
Look at him
host
smirking. Look at him smirking.
Pat say Jagoff. I wonder what our host Pat say Jagoff.
Oh, he's going to love him.
Wow.
Do we even have to do an old school tip of the day now? I don't think
Come on, we got to do
he's
it.
got. He's got it. He's got it.
I got a couple.
But I want to make sure I cover everything. I'm really enjoying this guest tonight. I love him. He's great. All right, so we got promoted to deputy. We talked about that. All right, old school tip of the day. He even listed his old school tips of the day. Pete.
Hey, don't tell us that. That's behind the scenes. Come on.
All right, nice guy, Kev.
This is the most organized guest we've ever had.
He's better than calamari. I said it this morning. I told him already. He was better than calamari.
Well, you know what time it is, guys? It's time,
what time is it, Pete?
for the old school tip of the day. It's all yours, sir.
I got a couple for you guys. One that, and I referred to it a bunch of times in this little talk about trusting your instincts. I had one event where we lost 2 firefighters, great firefighters, Corey Yankum and oh my God, Eddie Stringer, two great guys. And I come in to the extra alarm, and we're digging out. We had 19 firefighters buried at this incident. So some hurt very bad where they're never able to come back to the job, and many other injuries, 19 injuries and two deaths. So afterwards, I'm talking with firefighters, sitting on a curb after hours battling the fire and digging for survivors. When we have them all accounted for, firefighters are coming up to me and they're saying, "Chief, I knew something was bad with this one." And what it was it was an old industrial building that was vacant, and it was real cold. It was December 22nd, 2010. It was a real cold winter already, and a lot of snow. And this building was known for squatters. It was boarded up, but they had a lot of people homeless living in there. And that's what started the fire. So my guys are doing searches for these homeless in this abandoned building, and all the heavy fire is up in the trusses. Trusses quite often can be, they can give us a false sense of security because you're not feeling the heavy fire because it's high overhead, but it's exactly where we don't want it. It's weakening the roof structure. But the firefighters knew and the officers knew, but they weren't trusting their instincts. Almost across the board, I'd go to a hospital room and I'm just checking on the guys, and they say, Chief Chick, man, my instincts were screaming, or there was a voice in my head telling me I got to get them out of there, or I knew this one was bad. I just wanted to knock down the last of the fire and get them out. I just wanted to complete the search and get the guys out, but nobody acted on it. And I thought about that, and we know what instincts are and why the instinct is that inner voice in your head, because your brain is like a hard drive, and everything that you've learned and read and jobs that you went to and classes like this show today, where you're hearing things and putting it together, it's all up there in the hard drive, but it doesn't come back to you, unless you have total recall. It comes back to you instinctually. Something's telling you to not do this or to act a certain way. Always trust your instincts on the side of safety. And why don't people always ask on them and act on them? It's because we're a tough men and women. And if I'm looking across through the smoke over at Lou and his team, I'm thinking as soon as Lou starts pulling his guys out, I'm pulling my guys out. And I'm looking over there, hey, Kevin, man, if he starts pulling his people out, I'm getting mine out. And what do you think Lou and Kevin are thinking? They're thinking the same thing. They're looking at me and thinking, boy, when Chick moves his team, I'm moving mine. So be that guy, be that guy or girl, and trust your instincts, and you can change the world for a lot of people. And one last one, something that's like a trick of the trade that I only recently started teaching it, but it's changed my life. And it's simple controlling your breathing, called box breathing, kind of more known now in the fire service. The military uses it. Special forces use it when they're going in on a mission. I had a boxing coach, this guy, Johnny Coulon. He was a world bantamweight champ for 4 years. And when I met him, he's this old guy, had a second floor gym in the toughest neighborhood of Chicago. Muhammad Ali used to work out in our gym. And among a million lessons that I'd like to share with you, but one that really can change your life is controlling your breathing. And all box breathing is, probably the easiest way to break it down is to think of a Mayday, because most of us have been in Mayday type situations. And I've been in all three positions. There's three positions in a Mayday. You're either the victim, you're a rescuer, or you're outside in standby or command. And I've been in all three positions. And as soon as a Mayday is called, a firefighter's in trouble, your heart starts beating real rapid. Your breaths naturally start going shallow and rapid. And what do you think happens to your head? Your head starts spinning. So Johnny had us, in preparation for a fight, he had us box breathe. You use it for meditation. You can use it to change and bring a laser focus, but you can use it to gain control of your brain when the world starts spinning and things are flying out of control and you just can't think clearly. All it takes, a simple explanation, is inhale for 5 seconds, hold your breath for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, hold your breath for 5 seconds, and repeat this process. In really times of trouble, when I was, say, that guy that needed a Mayday, all I had to do was start that breathing. And what it does, it slows your breathing down, increases your air consumption. Your SCBA is going to last you longer. Your brain clears and you have laser focus, and it's easy to think of the way to get out. Civilians panic, but firefighters react. That's why we have this exciting job, So we have to do that. You can do it by simply controlling your breathing. But that's what I got for you today.
I'm just giving it to him now. The show is full of that. Was
incredible.
Really great, unbelievable.
I was
Chief.
practicing the breathing. Actually,
I was
while
doing
he
it too. I'm
doing
like, it works. This shit works.
You know,
No, it doesn't.
I always
you-
talked about that too with the breathing.
Yeah.
Always.
when you have something to do, for work, for a job that you guys, a great job that you guys are doing. And I'm really proud of the podcast. And I've looked, I hope people are doing this, going through your catalog on YouTube and so many great people. And I'm humbled that you guys have me here. It's really great.
Same
When
for
you
us.
need to work and your mind is spinning a little, box breathe and it'll bring you right back into focus. And
When I hit the switch, Coobs, maybe you could tell me to
Holy
box breathe.
shit! How do I key him? I call him the Switch, Chief, because he goes on and off. Actually, my son made that up. He calls him Uncle Switch because he turn on the light switch. So how do I get? I gotta go like this.
just have
breathe.
Pete
breathe.
shut off his box.
Box breathe,
Ruffy.
Refrano. Come on.
Box breathe.
You can do it.
That's what I'm gonna
Think
do
of the
from now on.
chick. Think of the chick.
It's important.
Chick. We didn't do it once. Happened at Castell
It's that
tonight.
chick. I don't know if you heard it.
Chick.
Love happening.
No, that was an
That was
outstanding
great.
tip.
Not only did you have great fire stories, you were dropping old school tips of the day.
Up, down,
Your
up,
lessons learned were great.
I
And
like the Chicago guys. I don't like them.
I'm starting to like the Chicago guys now.
Yeah.
I am.
We wear on you. We wear you out.
Yeah, is that what it is? All right, we'll see you too in Indy in April. How do you
We
like
will.
that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It
And
was
listen,
great. I enjoyed it.
maybe you can help us out because this is twice now. I saw a little peeked into the chat and I saw Chief Norman in there 2 nights in a row, Ruffy. So maybe he's on the radar.
I got
now.
his number.
Another
I got
buddy
his-
of mine. What a great guy you got
Chief
there.
Salka sent me his number. I got his number.
Start pestering him.
Yeah.
Also, what was the name? Mackey? Is it Mackey?
Bobby
What-
McKee.
McKee. That's the other guy. You got to get me his number too.
Absolutely.
Another Chicago guy?
Chief, what's
Yeah.
your what's
Yeah,
your
His name has come up to me a few times. Actually.
You will love him. Nobody better. Yeah.
Chief?
His book
they're
is
asking what your book is.
Firefighters from the Heart.
Yeah, I got another one. The books, the first one is published with Delmar. It was a really good company that was doing fire books, but they got out of fire books and they're doing only educational books in schools and stuff. So they give me back the rights to the book, and I'm going to have that one and its counterpart, which is Firefighter from the Heart 2, which is go figure. But I'm going to do that with fire engineering, and all of the proceeds will go to the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation. So they'll
look at
give
the
me
guy.
something to look for in
And
the
he's a
future,
giver.
not
And
for a
he's
little
giver,
while.
Ruffy. He's a giver too. This guy's got it all.
I don't like him.
Bob Hoff, who? What?
Oh my God!
No, Bobby did
Hey.
that.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm only kidding.
Oh,
I'm only kidding. All right, Ruffy, do you got anything? Chief, thanks for coming on. What a great show. Really, I
Hey,
enjoyed it.
one last thing. You know what? I wouldn't be anything without some of the older guys that were mentors. And I talked about Bill Burns and guys like Bobby Hoff, and who's not an older guy, but he's certainly someone to look up to. There's a guy, one of our retired deputy commissioner, a couple of them, Pat Keogh and Ben Goretti. I did talk about Gene Callahan and the last guy who's passed away, but he saved my life physically. One of our retired chiefs, Benny Crane, but just wonderful people. And
Nice.
I probably missed other names, but
You did a good job, Chief.
You
did
know
a good
what,
job.
Chief? This show is what this is all about, getting all these stories down somewhere so people can see them and they'll be here perpetuity.
And those names are going to keep repeating.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell you, write them down because the show goes fast.
Yeah.
And you
Right.
look back and you say, ah, shit, I forget.
Okay,
Yeah.
when I see you in Indy, I'm going to ask you about the blindfolded axe swing in Squad 2. All right, we'll talk about it.
sorry.
All right.
all right.
I keep
All right,
kicking my quarter. All right, any shout outs, Ruffy?
Yeah.
All right,
and
so we
Barry,
got-
Chief. Just hang out with us until we go off the air.
So unfortunately, I want to just put out, you get that picture for me, Petey?
yeah, I do.
So I actually know Chris. I used to work in 157 quite a bit. The department is mourning the loss of firefighter Christopher Viviano, 53 years old, from COVID-19. Firefighter Viviano was a 22-year veteran of the department. He joined the FDNY in 1999. and was assigned to Ladder Company 157, the Rogers, Charlie Rogers in Brooklyn. In his outstanding career, he was cited once for bravery. Firefighter Viviano is the 16th member of the department to die due to COVID, said Chief Nigro, and, all that stuff goes on. But, tough stuff. Yep. I remember him very well, actually. So,
no doubt. Rest in peace, my brother. What else you got? Anything else, Roof?
No, that's it.
All right, I have just I'll go through my papers here. I said the Chief Norman thing. Okay, the Florida trip, everything is booked. We have the place. It's going to be the first 50 guys to get in touch with Jose Martinez. And when you send him the money, Hank's going to lay out the money. If you send the money to either Venmo or whatever those other things are, you'll be put on the list. And there will be absolutely no ridiculous shenanigans going on there. I have respect like we had at the 9/11 ceremony. It'll be a good time. And afterwards, we can roll it over to a night party, to an after-hours party, and then you guys can get as stupid and as retarded as you want after that. You know what I mean? We can drink. We can drink all night. But while we're at the actual Getting Salty party, everybody's gonna be good boys.
Yeah, we're still going to have a good time. I mean, you could have a few drinks.
A couple of hard and fast rules. There'll be no peeing in public, and there'll be no displaying of your penises out of your pants. Okay. But I got to tell these guys that, for Christ's sake. You know what I'm saying? So get in touch with Jose or Alan Schupp.
Look at the Chief smirk. I fucking love it.
He's like, what the fuck?
He's like, this guy is a fucking Momo.
You know what? I take it all back. Yum. Yeah, these fucking yums.
All right, Pete. That's all I got.
All right, and I got.
Look at Chief Norman saying there'll be no golf carts in the swimming pools. Hank will have a meltdown.
Not in Hank's swimming pool.
Poor Boca Vista's phase 3.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's tell everybody how to find us out here on iTunes Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever fine audio podcasts are found. That's right. You can listen to us goofs. And if you need the visual aids, of course, you're here at youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience, where you guys all need to like, subscribe, and share. That's what gets us going. You guys are our number one syndicators and number one sponsors. We can't do it without you. Tell your friends to tell their friends, get the word out. My goal is to have every firefighter in America watching, or at least having watched our show at least once. That's the goal. Let's see if we can make it. Instagram, guys, if you're on there at Salty Dog Inc., check it out. Great salty fire photos in your feed. All right. And last minute info on the show. We said this at the beginning of the show, but gettingsaltyapparel.com, guys. That's partly how we pay these bills. We got some new shirts out. Check it out. The super chat, everybody who hit us up tonight, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Facebook, guys, Alan Schupp and Jose Martinez started a little page. It's called Getting Salty Fans. And if you go on that page, you will see shenanigans. You will see fire stories. You will have people sharing info. What I love about that page is, out of nowhere, somebody will be like, hey, dudes, what's a 1075 or what's a this or what's a that? And then you got about 100 guys chiming in on the bottom there. And I'll even pop in there with my own nonsense too. So it's really great. Love the fans page. It's going strong. I think 25,000 or so, if not more. If you got an email for us, shoot it to gettingsaltyexperience@gmail.com. That's for our Q&A shows. We're doing less of them because there's less questions coming in. So shoot them. If you guys got questions, what kind of question? What kind of, not just fire questions, right, guys? Like we're talking about, we could talk about more than that. Shoot us questions for the show. If you guys have, if you're curious about, our personal lives or other things as well, shoot us questions.
Shoot the J.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Also, guys, for the Cup of Joe and Fuego show,
or the new nighttime show.
Or the new nighttime cocktails, which I am working on the audio.
You can't make this shit up.
Yep. Shoot it to koobspodcast@gmail.com. And we need your helmet cam footage, your fire photos, your hottest old lady photos, your
Speaking of the hottest old lady, we're going out with Procacino and his hot old lady this Saturday night.
Yeah, Mrs. Procaccini's husband and Mrs. Procaccini are coming out Friday night.
Hey, we were putting all our room keys in a fishbowl. You know what I mean?
Minka.
You can't go wrong. If I get my old lady's hot. If I get Roofy's old lady, his old lady's hot. Pete's old lady, Procaccini's old lady's hot, and little 21 midget Truck Tillerman's old lady's hot.
Oh my God! Let's
only in America.
The only one I don't want to get is my sister.
I'll take your sister's keys.
You better watch it.
I'm sorry.
Watch your tongue, young
anyway,
man.
guys, that's all the news.
I'm running dry. I need a couple more guys. Please send me some more hot old ladies for the Cup of Joe Fuego. And I just got an idea. Let's do a call to the bullpen called a couple of jagoffs. We'll get half Chick.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do all
Chick
three of them.
And Timothy. Yeah.
Nice.
Can you make it one more time, Chief?
Yeah, we'd come back and visit you, Jagoffs.
Hey! A few jagoffs and a special edition.
We'll call to the bullpen. A couple of jagoffs. Nice.
That's gonna be great.
All right, guys. Chief, again, I really enjoyed your company. It was a great show, and I appreciate it.
It was an honor for us, believe me.
Really.
You have to be
great career. Very proud of
yourself, man. Great job.
And the and the Chicago Fire's not a bad. You know what I'm saying, Chief? It's not that bad.
A couple of backdraft dollars over here. You know what I mean?
Backdraft dollars.
I appreciate you guys, and like I said, honored to be with you, and it is. It's like sitting in a firehouse kitchen. So keep it up, guys. Beautiful job.
Thank you, Chief. Self-proclaimed best firefighter podcast in the world.
Self-proclaimed best podcast ever conceived.
He ain't lying.
All right, guys. You know what I always say. I don't know what I say. I'm silly tonight. I'm gonna go my old stay low and go.
All right, everybody. We'll see you at the big one.
All right. Cheers, everyone.